Hi there, this is Coach AJ, and you're watching a new episode of Living Fully Fit. If you enjoy the content you're about to watch, make sure to go ahead and subscribe down below, and hit the alert button to get updates of new content uploaded to this channel. Also, in support of the channel, put a thumbs up down below as well. And if you know anybody who can benefit from these videos to help rebalance, recalibrate, or just overall just help them in some kind of thing they're struggling with, copy a link and share it with a friend. Let's get into it. So we're going to look into a subject that I think a lot of times we all as humans have a hard time wrestling with, some more than others. And that word's called ownership. I think a lot of times the reason why we struggle as humans and as people, as we interact with other people, is we don't take ownership for what we accomplish or not accomplish, or what we do, what we don't do, and all those. We come up with some kind of excuse or reason behind it. And sometimes there are legitimate reasons why certain things happen or don't happen. I'm not negating that, but we have to look at the whole breadth of everything and how we develop good relationships with people, how we maintain our good mental and emotional wellness. And those three kind of categories we're looking at. We're looking at our relational health, our emotional health, and our mental health. And this kind of mentality of ownership is going to help all three of those. Owning what we do, owning what we say, owning how we act, owning how we treat others, owning what we think and what we say again whatsoever. You know, everything that we think, say, do is all us. Now I get it. I'm not saying for people that, they struggle with there's certain conditions out there that make you struggle more, but it doesn't make it impossible to fight the natural urge to do the wrong thing or to hurt someone. I know many people who deal with PTSD, for instance, as an example. Being in the Army, you see people who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and they could easily use that condition as an excuse to treat others poorly. Or they can get the help necessary to cope, to process, and to better react to certain situations in their life. And the same thing goes with any particular condition out there. Maybe you struggle with ADHD. Well, again, people who struggle with ADHD are all over the place. They're kind of jumbled. They're unfocused sometimes. Those are some of the symptoms, right? I'm no psychologist, but I do know some of the symptoms. I have some awareness of it. But it doesn't mean you can't fight through it. There isn't therapy to help you or to benefit you. Sometimes certain medications help cope with that. That way it isn't an excuse for poor behavior or anything. Well, I was abused as a child. I was abused in my marriage. I was abused in this dating relationship. I was mistreated here. I had a bad work experience all my life. I was, harassed at work for years. So I'm going to treat people like this. And we use that as an excuse to propel us to treat others in a certain way. And we just chalk it up to being, well, this is the way I am. Accept me because this is how it is. And that mindset is so dangerous because what you're saying is you're digging your heels in because of who you are, quote unquote, and you're unwilling to waver or change to better yourself so that way you can have healthy, consistent, connected relationships. So again, we have to own what we do and say. I get there are external stimuli, there's internal stimuli that kind of, propel us to do certain actions, to say certain things. But in the end, we have the choice to truly go forward and do those things and say those things. So we can't always use the excuse, well, this is just how I function. This is how my mind works. I am triggered from my past experience, so I can't help it. Well, a little story from me, my perspective. I grew up in an abusive home as a kid. My dad that raised me was very harsh, very verbally and somewhat physically abusive as a kid. And I could easily say, well, treat my kids that way and treat my spouse that way and say, well, you know what? That's just who I am. That's just how it is. I was raised this way. I have no way to know any better, and that's true. I wouldn't know any better, except I did a research, except I knew there was better out there. Now, granted, my dad and I have a better relationship now than we did when I was a kid, but you look at the whole breadth of everything, I didn't use that to make an excuse for myself and how I treated others. I've been in bad relationships in my past. That doesn't mean I quit being a sweet guy and a gentleman because, well, these women have treated me terribly. So I'm going to treat the next few women terribly because that's how I've been treated. That is wrong. And we do that so often. You see that so often in society where people make excuses. I'm an alcoholic because my dad was an alcoholic. I just saw that every day. So my dad beat my mom, so here I am, beat my wife, you know? And that's a terrible excuse. There's no ownership in that. We just blame and point the finger at someone else and say, well, you triggered me. That situation triggered me. The past is still haunting me. But you can get help. You can find healing. You can find freedom. But you have to be willing to take ownership. 110% ownership. And say, look, I am flawed. I'm imperfect. I need help. And leave it at there. I'm wrong. I did wrong. I did XYZ wrong. I'm going to get help now. I'm going to do better. Not just I'm sorry, I'm going to do better. Not just oops, this is who I am. I'm going to do better. You know, I have a saying that I've heard so many times, don't just be sorry, be better. Because it's one thing to say I'm sorry and apologize over and over. It becomes just empty words. And honestly, if you really look at it, it becomes manipulation depending on what kind of context it's in. When you say sorry and there's no shift or change, you're just manipulating the person to stay with you or to accept you for what you are, who you are, but there's no change. Again, it takes ownership. It takes ownership in the job instead of pointing the finger at your subordinates or your superiors or whoever it is. You take ownership. I did that. That was my bad. I messed up on that project. I'm in the wrong. I was late. Oh, you know, the traffic. No, you know what? I was late. If I would have left earlier or on time, I probably would have been on time. I didn't text or call my boss and say, hey, I'm running a little bit late. That way they're aware. Again, it takes those moments of ownership that, hey, I'm running late because this, but I'm sorry, I'm running late. I'll be there as soon as possible. Communication, all that stuff, ownership. When you start taking ownership for what you do, what you say, and who you are, and what your past experience is, whatever it is, then you're able to start walking towards the path of healing and getting the help you need. Because again, if you're not taking ownership and you're just going to counseling and going to church or, you know, just hanging with your friends and venting away about how rough your life is, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to find any growth. You're not going to find any stability or, honestly, evolution in your life. You're going to be stuck and stuck for a long time. But where it really lies is that ownership. Not in the condition that led you to the decision, but the fact that you made the decision at all. Not the condition or the circumstance or the external, whatever it is, or the past memory that led you to the words, the decision, the action, the thought, your personality, whatever. The fact that you did those things, acted that way, talked to someone that way, own that. Get better. And that is the path to help you grow, thrive, and build healthy relationships all around yourself. I hope this was helpful. I hope I wasn't preaching at you or I get a little passionate about this kind of stuff. But you know, I think as we grow as humans, as we grow as people, and as we try to build good relationship, we're going to see this really help create a collateral effect of wellness and health instead of collateral damage. I'm Coach AJ. Thanks for watching another episode of Living Fully Fit. Take care.